And I'm going to be starting with Melvin, who is in Malta. Melvin, let me just get you. Can you hear me, Melvin?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Melvin. Obviously, you're in Malta. Lucky you. Nice not to be in England at the moment, I would say. But I've spoken to you before. You're a regular. Thanks for calling again. How do you feel, and how does it differ from what I was just saying in my post-match reaction there?
It's hard to take, to be honest. It's really hard to take. Disappointed. They looked tired. They looked exhausted. The injuries don't help. I know I said that last week to Liverpool, but a 1-0 game, sometimes you need to find a way to not lose these type of games, get a point. I know it's not the right mentality. We should have gone there to win. I thought the lineup wasn't the best. I thought we tried to create through the middle and didn't succeed time and time again. They just, low blocked us and had one solid chance, which they scored. I thought even though Udogie was at fault for the goal, he didn't have a particularly bad game. He looked sharper than usual, but he's definitely at fault for that goal. I don't see why a player with his speed doesn't get out of jail often enough, like Kyle Walker does. He gives space to defender, but he's able to close the gap. But I don't know why he keeps scoring from our left-hand side.
I don't think Udogie, sorry to interrupt, Melvin, sorry to interrupt, but I don't think Udogie is as quick as that. I don't think he's more of a powerful player than a quick player. He's not as quick as Spence with his recovery runs for me.
Yeah, it's just I don't know. He should know better by now. I think he should be learning from his mistakes, and I think if we had a fit left back at the moment, I think he would have been dropped because these mistakes are happening too often now, and they're costing us. I mean, games like this, we could have won 1-0 if we didn't concede, and I think they had a game plan. And I don't feel we had a game plan. I know Postecoglou says that, he has plan A. But when the team is tired and the team, we're not playing with our full strength, we need to have a different plan. We need to have something. It's just we keep doing the same thing. I thought not starting Madison was interesting. I think he will feel that was a mistake. I don't know if he had a knock or something, but Johnson, I know he's been scoring this season and he had shots on target which he could have scored, but I think we play better with Kulusevski as a winger. I know Kulusevski, we tried him in the middle, but in a game like today, I think he should not have changed the team. Bentancur, I was extremely disappointed with. I was excited to see him again. I'm a massive fan of Bentancur, but he looked absolutely like a fish out of water. I know it's his first game after the ban, and I was expecting him to do a bit more. I don't think he did enough. I think a lot of players were hiding. The bright spark was Bergvall coming in. Solanke was sharp and he pressed and he tried. But at the end of the day, it was all for nothing, because if you cannot provide your striker a chance, I don't feel he had one solid chance today. We didn't supply him the ball.
Yeah,
I mean,
we never do. We never make chances for him. We actually very rarely make chances for him.
Yeah, 18 months into this project, and you feel that we're an attacking football team, and we should show it on the pitch, but we didn't today. We didn't create enough. We didn't do enough. I mean, Johnson again. The chances that he should have tucked one away. I know he's been hot and cold, but it's disappointed, and I keep seeing on the comments, Ange out and all of that. But as I said to you last week, this is very much a project. This is very much early stages. We're still very much young team. I thought Bergvall coming in. We need to, next game I would start Bergvall, try something different.
Yeah.
Try something different. See what works. And Postecoglou sometimes is stubborn in that sense. He only plays players when his hand is forced by injury. And then he discovers, this player can do a job. This player can do a job. This player can do a job. Like Spence saved us in the cup when he played him, and then now he's playing well. So now, I can trust Spence, but he should have been playing him in August and in September. He should have been resting the fullbacks ages ago, and we're suffering. The players look shattered. There's no energy. There's no bright spark. Kulusevski tried because he has bags of energy. Solanke has bags of energy, but the rest look absolutely tired. Why does Johnson look tired? He's not played for ages, but he looks tired. He wasn't running. He wasn't pressing. He looked tired. I don't know why. He hasn't played for ages.
Yeah. Listen, I don't disagree. I want to ask you, just before I let you go, Melvin, I've got a couple of minutes with you. What is the worst case scenario here in terms of the league? Because like I said, I personally think with the injuries and the fact we're still in the cup competitions, maybe we've got to keep Ange for that. But in terms of the league, obviously we're in 11th now, but we are losing time and time again. And we've got, as I said, Wolves and Newcastle up next, who I think will really enjoy playing against this team. I think it'll suit them. If we were to lose those games, do you think Levy would have to sack Ange at that point?
No, because I've said this on Chris's channel many times. This season, for me, there's a lot of question marks hovering over players at the moment. Like, I'll give you an example. Bentancur, Bissouma, Madison. Kulusevski had a question mark in August because we didn't know what he was going to do either. There was question marks hovering over him. Davis had a question mark. Foster, the goalkeeper. There's question marks on all of these players. We're in a moment right now where if you don't step up in the summer, you will be sold. You will be sold for 10, 15 million, whatever, and we will buy an adequate replacement. There's question marks over this team, and you need to step up. Madison had a spell where he was being benched by Postecoglou. Then he came in and he started to score again. Heung-min Son, there's question marks over him. No one is safe at the moment. You could say no one is safe. You could say maybe perhaps Romero didn't have the best season, but he has credit in the bank because he's a quality defender. Van de Ven is a quality defender. At the moment, there's question marks all over the pitch. League position is tricky because before we started, I was looking, are we safe from being relegated? But we're 10 points clear. But I shouldn't be looking at the relegation battle. You know what I mean? I shouldn't be looking at that direction.
Of course.
Postecoglou came in and he said he took over a team that was falling. But now it seems we're falling again. Why? These questions need to be asked.
Yeah.
Postecoglou needs to give the fans assurance that we're heading in the right direction. And today it's on him a little bit, even though it's a difficult ship right now. It's difficult.
Yeah. Melvin, thank you so much. Thanks for being a part of the show today. Really hope to speak to you soon. Appreciate it, mate. Thanks a lot.
All the best. Thank you.
See you later. Okay, I'm going to go straight to Cork in Ireland and Paul O'Rourke, another regular. Paul, how are you doing, mate?
I was a lot better about 2 hours ago, but today was disappointing, extremely disappointing. As much as I am Anjin, and absolutely what Melvin just said, that this is a project, it's very, very disappointing that there is categorically no plan B for any kind of scenario that happens on the pitch in real time. Like we saw about 5 minutes, 10 minutes towards the end of the game today, Nuno Espirito Santo took off Morgan Gibbs White, got on a Brazilian defender.
Yeah.
Like we had most of the ball. No, we never, to be honest, if we were still there now on our own, we probably wouldn't have scored. We never looked like scoring, but he was reacting to the fact that we had the vast majority of the ball, and if a chance came, they were going to have an extra defender. They were going to make sure that, to the best of their ability, we were not going to score today. There, he reacted to what was happening in front of them, where Ange just doesn't seem to do this at all. And it's extremely frustrating, extremely disappointing that it's just one way and one way only. If we win, we win, fantastic. If we don't, we move on to the next game. It can't be just as simple as that. There has to be more. There has to be more to a gameplay than this is just the way we play.
Paul, I'm going to ask you the same. I'm going to ask you the same question I asked Melvin. What is the worst case scenario here, realistically, in terms of, let's say hypothetically, and based on all of the leaks coming out of the club, that the club are going to stand by Ange. What is the worst case scenario potentially league wise?
I suppose worst case now. I think we do have to take into consideration our lengthy injury list, which if you take out your first choice centre halves, your first choice, you got a couple of midfielders and so on, out of any team in the Premier Division, then you will probably struggle, or you won't do as well as you usually would. So we have to take that into consideration. But league-wise, I mean, worst case scenario, maybe mid-table, maybe where we are now. But that then has to be coupled. Like we touched on it after the Liverpool game. I generally think after Christmas, not too sure whether we're going to go into the transfer market or not, or whether the players that Ange wants are available. January is always a fickle month to sign players or get the right players. And he has said from day one when he came in, he doesn't just want a player that's available. He wants a player that wants to come and play for Spurs. He wants a player that will buy into the philosophy of what he is doing.
Yeah.
That's not everybody. That's not every player. I do think that when it comes to after Christmas, in the new year, the competitions that we are left in, like you touched on it with Melvin there as well, as regards of winning a competition or winning a trophy. Like we are still in 3 cup competitions, a semi-final of one. We're probably going to get through to the knockout stages of the Europa League, which I think, if I'm honest, is probably our best chance of winning a cup this year, not the League Cup. I know we're in the semi-final. We're only potentially 3 games away from lifting a trophy in the Carabao Cup. I still think the European competition is our best chance. I just think that this home and away in Europe, getting our full strength team back, providing they all stay injury free, is our best chance.
Well, Paul, can I say this? I think our only chance of winning the Europa League, and I've said this all season, is if we win the Carabao Cup first. I think it's if we can listen. I'm going to try and sprinkle some positivity on what I know is going to be a very negative show. I think Liverpool is the right team for us to play in that 2-legged semi-final, because I think they will rotate heavily with Champions League games around then, and obviously being top of the league, etc., etc. So I think that's the right one. And I think even being at home first is good for us, because it means when we don't have our players back, which we won't first week of January, we're playing at home, which gives us more of a chance to stay in the tie. And then hopefully we'll have the likes of Van der Ven and Romero back for the second leg. And then if we can then get to that final and win that cup, I think that would allow then Ange to be like, okay, this is the mentality change that I'm talking about. And that's if Ange is still in charge then, and get into the team that or get off their backs that feeling that Spurs can't win anything. And then I think we could win the Europa League. But I have to say, I do not see us winning 2-legged ties in kind of pressure situations in quarters or semis, or maybe even last 16s of Europa Leagues in the state that Tottenham are in at the moment.
No, look, I agree on that. Like what I'm saying is all dependent on whether we can get our squad fully fit.
Yeah.
Like if you were putting out the team and squad that we have now, there's absolutely no chance. We look very, very tired today.
But Paul, how from your point of view, how responsible is Ange Postecoglou for the injury crisis? Bear in mind, we've got 2 more players out for the next game now. Dragoshin looks like a muscle injury to me, and obviously Jed Spence got sent off. So 2 more defenders need replacing.
Yeah, I suppose we all know how intense Ange's training philosophy is. The only thing I will say, and I'm from Ireland. Nearly everybody in Ireland kind of has an affinity with Glasgow Celtic as well. We always keep an eye on them, so on. They never had this issue with injuries in the 2 years Ange was there.
Right.
So I'm not saying that's down to the players. Maybe it's just gotten more intense because, they're different levels of of leagues, different levels of opponents. Maybe it's gotten a bit harder because the Tottenham players need to be that bit fitter. But yes, look, I think he is partly responsible. Like the workload to get them that fit to play that type of football must be absolutely massive. But you can't putting the strain on players like that. It is going to take its toll, and it absolutely has. Like Mickey van de Ven has been out injured now twice long term with exactly the same injury. There was only questions, was it last week or the week before, about the medical staff and looking at either replacing him, or there's a review in the club towards the medical staff and see if that is an issue. I don't think it is, to be honest. It must be happening on the training pitch. The workload must be that heavy.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I think maybe as fans, or those of us, myself included, those of us not paying enough attention to how responsible Ange is for that, that might be the case. I mean, it's a weird situation, isn't it? If Ange was sacked, let's say, because like I said, I really fear these Wolves and Newcastle games. Let's say Ange lost his job after that, because I think if he did lose those games, I think he would. And it'd be a weird situation when we'd have a new manager coming in who's basically saying, guys, train less hard. Whereas usually every manager that goes into a new club is just like, they weren't training hard enough. But there are just too many injuries from my point of view. Paul, thank you so much, honestly, for calling in. Thanks for being a part of the show. And obviously hope to speak to you after the next game too.
Absolutely. Look after yourself. Take care.
Man. Cheers, mate. Bye-bye. I'll just quickly go into some comments before Stu Miller says, who would want to come and manage/play for our embarrassingly reactive, short-term thinking fan base? Interesting. Okay, next coming on is an old dueling partner of mine, Mr. Box Office. Alex, unmute yourself. How are you doing, mate?
Yeah, I just want to just get into it, Barnaby, because you know how I go every single time, because I'm not here for a long time, I'm here for a good time. I mean, firstly, I didn't expect to win this game. I didn't expect to win this game whatsoever. I'm actually only doing this right now because I promised Chris Callan I'm doing this at the moment, because I've switched off. I've said already, I'd get rid of this manager today if I had the choice, if I could get a coach in, because this guy is not a coach, and it's been clearly shown right now, because at the moment no one's improved. He can't coach any of these players as far as I'm concerned. He can manage. He's a good manager. I'll give him that. He motivates people. He can believe anybody to the Eskimos. But for me, it's like, this is not a surprise to me whatsoever, to be honest with you. I've got to a point now where I wasn't even going to bother watching it, because I just thought I knew what Forest were going to do. I knew what we're going to do as well. The ridiculous thing is now I'm hearing excuses saying about injuries, which, like I said to you before, Barnaby, I've said to you on other shows, this is on the manager. Yeah, it's excuses because I heard that we had a better squad than last season. But now I'm saying, and I told you about the midfield, I don't trust the midfield. Bentancur comes back again, showing me again that he's a Juventus reject again, because I couldn't trust him. Even if I tried him, I'm sorry, I would sell him tomorrow as well. Basuma, sell him tomorrow as well. Because I'm now saying I'd rather have Højbjerg back in my midfield. We did not improve in that midfield. And I'm sorry, I don't care what you say. Bergvall, yeah, he was okay. He's okay, but he should be on loan. He should be on loan. We should get proper midfielders in, or if we're going to do this project everyone's talking about, play the youngsters from the start then. Play the youngsters from the start. But he can't do it. This is the thing. Listen, right now, I'm not expecting a lot. I'm not even expecting us to do. I'm confused why people think we're going to do well in Europe, because European managers will have this guy's number 20, have this guy's number all day long. I'm sorry. I mean, we might have a chance against Liverpool because they've got loads of games as well, but we've got loads of games as well, and it's getting worse. The fixture list is going to get worse, because we're not even talking about January, right? Because we're still in Europe. We're talking about February as well, with the Carabao Cup as well, and people are complaining about injuries. Yeah. So, for me, I don't know why everyone's getting so angry. You know what I mean? People think I'm getting angry, but this is the way I talk. Everyone should know, if you watch Mr. Box Office TV, I'm expressive. That people don't understand. Don't get used to the fact I'm expressive. But unfortunately, I don't know why people are getting this. I've expected this.
Yeah.
You know, the only thing that I think is saving grace at the moment, Man City are doing badly at the moment, but he's got credit in the bank, Guardiola. This guy's got no credit in the bank. I've got good authority. He ain't even listened to his coaches, who are not good enough, right? Nick Montgomery, the guy that we brought in, is a player development guy. He's doing set pieces. Work that one out. You know what I mean? So for me, I don't see what we're seeing at the moment. I don't think they're backing him as well. They are backing him as well because they're not going to sack him. I wouldn't be surprised if they don't sack him. They've said it how many times now, so they are backing him now. So I don't know what else to say, really. We need a
Alex,
proper midfielder.
Sorry to interrupt, mate. Sorry to interrupt, mate. Let me just ask. Haven't I heard you talk before about how you think, or you thought maybe your opinions changed, but you thought this is the time where it's not about sacking another manager, it's about letting the manager kind of get to the end of his tenure and then seeing how it goes, etc., etc.
Yeah, but thing is, though, Barnaby, is that I've said this is why I don't look at Daniel Levy anymore, because they are backing him, right? But the problem is, and the deal breaker for me is, this guy is not a coach. We are better with coaches, head coaches, than managers. Pochettino, Martin Jol. The only other manager that did what was good was Harry Redknapp, but he had coaches that were coaching them. Good coaches under him. This guy hasn't brought in anybody from his backroom staff before, right? So there's no one telling him, you know, this is all on him, because I've got a good authority. I've got my own secrets that I know people have told me, right? That this guy does not listen to his coaching staff. It's all on him, doing his own system and stuff. So for me, it's the coaching thing, right? This is where I think Eddie Howe. I'm not saying we can get Eddie Howe because he's at Newcastle, and Eddie Howe because he improves players individually. You see what I'm saying? Pochettino back in the day improved players individually. You see what I'm saying? If we're going to do this whole thing about getting players in that are potential, and there are good players out there, we need a coach to coach and make them better, right? This guy's had one game a week last season. We got worse after the first 10 games, right? The record's now saying this season we're losing more than we're winning.
Yeah.
Right. With Chelsea last season, right, with Pochettino, they were down here and they're gone up here. Yeah. So it's not looking good for this guy. Right. I've got a lot. I've said already what I've gone on I've said on my last show. If you watch my channel, that I said why I can't back this guy. So I've given my reasons already. So this is why I can't really repeat it too much.
Where would you, Alex? Where would you go next then? Because, like, I would say, my personal opinion is if we lost to Wolves and or Forest, probably Wolves and or Newcastle, I think Levy would probably have to make a change. Where would you go next, personally?
At the moment, we need to get a proper coaching. So I would say, I mean, I've looked at managers at the moment. I've got to be honest. I need to do some more research on Thomas Frank, but I've heard a lot about Thomas Frank. That he's because he also adapts as well. So other managers that can adapt. Yeah. I mean, if Eddie Howe was available, we'll go for him. If he was available, I think the managers that are available at the moment, I don't think are good at the moment. But I'm looking more into Europe now, as well. So we just need a head coach that can make players better, who can adapt. You see what I'm saying? That because you know, good coaches don't need a year and a half to get to know their players. A good coach. I look at Amorim, right, for Manchester United. I know we won 4-3, but I saw more coaching from him, right, than Ange Postecoglou. And like Man United squad is terrible. You see what I'm saying? So the deal breaker is the coach. It's him not being a coach, and that's it for me. I couldn't back him because I need to learn about him more. Right? There was no point in me doing research on him, and because I need to see him at Tottenham. And the more and more I see this guy, the more and more people abuse me and tell me about this guy. Right? The more and more I'm saying no, not for me. But I do think they're going to back him to the end of the season because we're not getting relegated. We're not going to get relegated. I think we do have a chance in the Carabao Cup. Yes, we do. But yeah, I mean, I could speak to you a long time, but I've got to keep it short and sweet anyway.
Okay, just one more thing I just want to ask, because Miss Bunny's just made a good comment. Why the hell would a Thomas Frank or Eddie Howe come to us, as Miss Bunny? Do you think they would?
Yeah, if you offer them the right, what sort of what sort of circumstances you can do that. Like I said, it's not about, we've got to stop thinking about why the hell would people come in. What we need is a coach. So if you give a coach a good sort of facilities around to work with, and we've got a young team, that young players that you can use to try and make better and work around it, because I'm not expecting our team to do very well at the moment. You see what I'm saying? If people be more on board with that, but at the moment, I think this manager thing is just not working for me. He's not that sort of manager we need at the moment. We need a coach. That's the deal breaker for me, and that's it for me. So
Alex,
I could go into a little more detail, but like I said, I could keep it short and sweet. But
top man, Alex, thank you for calling in. We appreciate being a part of the show, and call in again, mate. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, take care. Bye-bye.
Okay, Alex obviously feels strongly. We're going to go all the way to New York now. And Lee, how are you, mate? How are you feeling?
Happy Christmas. Well, I think on this game, I agree with, I caught the end of your comments at the start. I agree with everything you said. Thought Sonny looked tired. I don't think Son can play with his back to goal. Anytime anyone pushes up on him, he loses the ball. I thought Kulu looked tired. I think it was the worst I've seen him. It would have been hard to leave him out. But I get more nervous now. Like, I'm sure most people get nervous when we play the ball back to Forster and he's kind of trying to do a 6-yard pass. I get more nervous now when we're on the edge of the box and it takes one pass in a failed transition for them to be completely up the other end. And it's, I mean, they had a couple of chances, but you could see it coming and there's just no cover. And I don't know. It's a lot of people have echoed the same theme of definition of madness being doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different outcome. And it just felt like that. So I think today just had a horrible sort of predictable feel to it.
It really did. I just want to talk about something that I found quite ironic based on what you just said about that kind of hole in central midfield that I mentioned a lot during the watch along. There was a game when Nuno was in charge of Spurs when we went to the Emirates. And we literally my recollection of it is watching it in the pub and just being like, there is not a single central midfielder on that pitch for Tottenham Hotspur. And yet today, when they were on transition, it was the same for Spurs. And Morgan Gibbs-White, time and time again, just having the entire pitch to make his choice as to what to do with. Now, listen, I'll actually agree with Mr. Box, obviously. I think Ange is a great man manager. I do. And I get that. I get that he has felt like Tottenham need a mentality shift from top to bottom of the club and that attacking football is the way to go. But in games like this, when the shit is already hitting the fan in terms of the form that the team are on, and where you're playing a team like Forest who literally don't allow you to play attacking football.
Right.
So to some degree, when I talk about tweaks and where I would agree with people is, if you're not able to play attacking football against a certain team anyway, then try and find different things to do to get around it. And today, for me, the one thing that I would say, and I think I did say in my post-match reaction, is get some more crosses in the box.
Yeah,
like, try and get some crosses in the box.
How can we? I mean, how many second balls did we win? Not many.
I mean, very few, very few. There's a lot of kind of what I would describe as kind of pussyfooting around from Spurs players going into 50-50s. I mean, and that's why actually when Jed Spence got his second booking, or when Dragusin took his booking in the first half, stopping, that was a professional foul. I don't mind that. When Jed Spence got his second booking, I was like, well, part of me is like, well, at least he's going in for a challenge. But I don't know. Like, I listen. Taking bad result after bad result is difficult. And I would still, like I said, I'd still say I think it's probably worth sticking with Ange, but it's tiresome, isn't it?
I don't know. Yeah, there's a great quote in business that I love, which is hope is not a strategy. And I feel like it's all we've got. If you listen to most of us talk, we're like, oh, we'll get some players back. Mm-hmm. Maybe we'll go on a run. Maybe we'll get through Liverpool. Maybe Ange will tweak it. And actually, it doesn't marry up with what we're actually seeing. And I think our reality is we're probably going to get some players back. But like, do you remember Maddison last year when he came back? It took him ages to get back. I don't know if he ever really got back up to speed. So this idea that we're going to have this influx of our players and then we're suddenly going to go on a run feels hopeful, but maybe even sort of naive. You were talking about league position. I'm like, what? Why? I don't want us to be there, but we're probably going to be where we are now, unless something dramatic happens. And as for the cups, I'm after last week, I want to be hopeful about Liverpool over 2 legs, but it's pretty hard to feel that way. They probably will rotate, but they'll do it well. So I don't want Ange sacked, but I think I'm in that position of having been a fan for a long, long time of not what I want to happen, what do I think is going to happen? And what I think is going to happen is exactly what you said. Like, I can't see how you can be, if we lose over all the next few games over Christmas, we get tonked by Liverpool at home first week of January. That's a tough one. That's a real tough one.
I'm going to try and flip the narrative a little bit from what I've been saying, just to kind of offer up another possibility here. Is there a chance, hypothetically, that, you know, Scott Munn and Johan Lange are currently having a word with the agents of the likes of Iraola and Thomas Frank and saying to them, would you be interested? And if they get any positive replies, is there a chance that Daniel Levy will look at the situation Spurs are in and think, if I bring in someone like that, we might win the Europa League, and that would be the only chance we can get in the Champions League? Because we all know previously Daniel Levy's sackings have always been, well, it looks like we're not going to get in the Champions League, so we've got to make a change.
Yeah.
Is there any chance that happens?
I'm casting my mind back to Ryan Mason leading us out in the last time we went in the final. There's a chance, but I think if I was them, I would be. I don't know why they would leave now. I could see them potentially leaving at the end of the season to come to us. I fear for our MO, which is whatever point let's face it, if Levy sticks with him to the end of the season, that would be that's very different for us, right? That's not Levy's MO. If we're in 12th and we're out of the cups, if he fires him in the new year, maybe you could get, Harry Redknapp was at, I can't remember if he was at Portsmouth or where he was when he came late, but I think those guys are probably going to say, I'll come at the end of the season, and in which case we're probably going to see Ryan Mason again. So then you start going, well, is it better to keep Ange? So it's really hard to know, but to answer your question, if they got any positive inclination, then it's probably likely. I just don't know why they would do it now. I think they would come at the end of the season, but maybe not now. Yeah,
and Iraola certainly took quite a long time to get his processes into that Bournemouth team as well. Okay, Lee, like I said, we've got Wolves and Newcastle coming up. The thing that really worries me is not only how much those two teams will enjoy sitting back and hitting us on the break, and Newcastle certainly have better players to do
if
that.
You're Isaac right now, you're like, come on, let's just straight there.
Exactly. But also the biggest worry is just how fatigued. And I have to say, I would agree. I saw some comments. I would agree that I'm now at the point where I'm not sure how much of it is fatigue and how much of it is the Spurs players just being like, this isn't working.
Yeah, I've got a sense that they still are trying and still believe. I don't think anyone's down in tools, but this fatigue piece is so marked that it's not that you can see people not tracking back. Everyone's trying, they just can't get there. Like that doggy thing today. I think he did his best, but it's his first game back. So I don't know how you solve for that other than I don't know. I thought Kulu today, for example, was he needs a break. He needs a break at some point. He's been our best player by miles, but I thought Maddison came on. Yeah, has Maddison torn up trees? Not really, but he's looked lively. So I don't feel like they've given up, but I don't know. What do you do about a squad who's absolutely knackered? I mean, we're in a bunch of competitions. They can't go off to Dubai for a long weekend, so. Yeah, I'm not sure how you solve for that, but yeah, they looked. And Johnson today, I think one of the other people said, he's hardly played, and after the first half, he seemed to be walking around. I was like, how can you be tired? So maybe that's a mental thing.
Lee, thanks so much, mate. Thanks for being part of the show
Pleasure.
today, and hope to speak to you after another game soon. Cheers. Have a good rest of your Christmas.
You got it.
Top man. I'll just go into the comments quickly before I bring on the next caller. Enrique says lack of confidence throughout that squad. Zero Coke says the tactical ability of a manager can change a club. Enzo Maresca turned a stupid Chelsea team into a great team. The important thing is to hire a tactical manager who is at the level of Tottenham. I know a lot of people say don't go back and stuff, but I honestly think if Pochettino was on the market now and hadn't taken that American job, I think maybe that Daniel Levy might have pulled the trigger and been tempted to go back to Poch. But next up, I'm going to speak to, actually, I can see Benny is in the green room, but if you can turn your camera on, Benny, I'll talk to you next. There you go. Benny, and can you unmute yourself? Here is Benny from the UK. Telford, how are you, Benny?
I'm good, thank you. Let me pause there. Sorry, River, go now.
No problem.
I'm from Telford. I've been a Tottenham fan since '92. I'm 38 on New Year's Eve, and I've been on Talk Sport a few times talking about Tottenham. I struggle to talk about Tottenham just because of I don't even know anymore. I'm being blatantly honest. I was watching the game this afternoon. Half an hour in, I ended up putting Dad's Army on. That's where it's got to me. And it was like the Mourinho when we had Mourinho in charge. Where I couldn't stand watching a football match. I struggled to watch. We did have games where like we outplayed certain teams and that, but it's becoming a really hard watch. And I know we've got like 9-10 injuries, and we can use it as an excuse, but our players, I think they're dropping tools, I think, personally.
Okay, I think I just laughed during that because one of our commenters whose name on YouTube is Captain Mannering said clever boy for watching Dad's Army. So that made me laugh. Listen, for me, and I think I've mentioned it already, but I think one of the things that frustrated me today, and I'll put this on Ange, is that he must have known, if I know, right? I'm no tactical guru. I don't know anything really about tactics other than, I played a bit of semi-pro football when I was a kid and whatever. But for me, he must have known, if I know, that Nuno Espirito Santo is going to play the game that way within the width of his 18-yard box, make it narrow, get men behind for the entire game.
Yeah.
Ange must know that we need to try something different than trying to play intricate little 1-2s where all the bodies are throughout the game. And actually, I don't mind him coming out and saying, oh, there's one way and one way only when it comes to playing the big teams, because actually that way works a lot of the time, obviously not against Liverpool. But in games like this, surely he has to be trying something different.
Yeah, definitely. But you've seen it within I think it was in the first 8 minutes. I think Kulusevski had played he could have taken a shot on, and they were tic-tacking it around the 18-yard box.
It was the first minute of the game. He was on the edge of the box. He could have had a shot with his right foot, and instead he tries to play an impossible paradise ball to Son. It really wound me up. Yeah,
and I think that's what we're seeing now. And I'm not Anjou. I don't even know what I am at the moment. I really don't. I do look at the statistics with like Levy and the amount of managers we've gone through. But he spent 400 million, I think, with over the past. Is it?
Yeah.
He spent a fair few.
Yeah, he's the third or fourth in the net spend league, which is, it's something that I don't think we can have it both ways. We can't say that Spurs don't spend enough money and then use it against him. But I would also say, do you think Ange is spending that money?
No,
I don't.
No, I don't. I think I was listening to you before about I forgot who his name was, but talking about Bergvall, should have been loaned out. We've got where he's going through the medical. The medical thing has been going on since I can remember. Darren Anderton was the noticeable one with sick note. We've always had a terrible thing with medical issues and injuries. Still don't know where that's come from or go. I don't know what's going on. But I struggle. I really do struggle. Me putting Dad's Army on after 30 minutes. I didn't even watch the Tottenham-Liverpool match. I knew it was going to be some sort of rugby sort of scoreline.
Yeah.
And I don't really know where we're gonna. Carabao Cup is probably our best sort of chance of any sort of silverware. And like you said, we've lost Dragerson now and Spence.
Yeah.
So
Benny, can I just ask you one more question? Because I've got 3 more people to talk to, and I've only got 10 minutes. So I just want to ask you one more question. So a lot of people have been saying for a long time, all they want is a Spurs trophy, right? Do you think genuinely, and you're a bit of an older Spurs fan like me, so I'm intrigued by your opinion. Do you think if Tottenham win the Carabao Cup and finish 14th, which is where we may well finish at the moment, do you honestly think that there's not going to be a big groundswell of Spurs fans saying, sack the manager in the summer? Because I do.
100%. I'll be one of them as well.
Yeah.
I think we can't. 100%. Yeah, we can't.
That's the thing. For me, it's not all about trophies. It's about the whole. It's about hope, isn't it? It's about the feeling that we could push on. And I'm sorry, but I want the Carabao Cup. Of course I do.
Yeah.
But nobody's going to stop laughing at us from the other clubs if we finish bottom half and win the Carabao Cup in the same way as nobody has stopped laughing at Arsenal because they keep bottling the league just because they won the FA Cup a few times in the last 15 years.
Exactly. Well, we did it with Ramos, didn't we? We won the League Cup and then we sacked him a few months later. So,
Exactly. Benny, honestly, thanks so much for being a part of the show today. And let's speak again after a game soon. Appreciate it, mate.
No worries. Take care. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, I'm going to go next to Mo, who is in Denmark. Mo, how are you doing? I haven't got too long with you, unfortunately, but you were in the green room earlier and then you dropped out, but you're on my list.
Yeah, sorry about that, but I'm back.
No problem.
Yeah,
so, Mo, how are you feeling about Spurs?
I'm feeling frustrated. I'm thinking maybe this could do as a therapy session after a match like this. But listening to all my fellow Tottenham fans just makes me more depressed, actually. But I'm normally very, very enthusiastic, and I always hope that we do the best, and I did before today. And the first 25 minutes was exactly as we hoped, and then we let a goal in, and it went exactly as expected.
Yeah, I think I said it. Somebody commented during the watch along when it was 0-0 and said, "Oh, Spurs are doing well here," and I said, I thought we were doing okay, but I felt confident that Forest were going to score the first goal and that we would struggle to get back from it. In fact, the only thing that surprised me was that Forest didn't score a second goal.
Yeah, I was expecting them to score the first goal, but I'm always hoping for the best. But it was like there was no energy after the first goal. There's not a single player who can do anything extraordinary. It just seems to be passing the ball around. Johnson running up and down, passing backwards. No deliveries for Solanke at all. Yeah. And the defense looked okay today, but of course Dragerson had to go out injured and another red card, so it looks even worse than it did before.
Yeah, so bleak. Mo, what do you think is the reality for the future of Ange Postecoglou?
I hope that we give him time, because I'm a big supporter of him, but the reality is that 2 more defeats, I think he's out. Unfortunately, because I don't think that we're going to get anything better in. Who should it be? I'm a Dane, so I would like to try Thomas Frank. I know he's a good coach, a development coach. He used to be like the national coach for the under-17s in Denmark. Brought them far in the World Cup, actually. And he can do with a young group like this, maybe. But it will take time with him also. He can't just pull us back into top 4 in a couple of years. I don't think it'll happen with him over the Ange.
What I like about Thomas Frank is, from what I've heard and read, he when he got Brentford up from the Championship, he was playing a beautiful style of football, and then he came into the Premier League and he was like, well, we're not going to be able to play this beautiful style of football straight away. We're going to have to be a little bit more direct. And obviously he's not afraid to kind of play 2 kind of genuine forwards across the front line as well. Kind of, it was Tony and Mbuemo or whatever. And maybe someone like Frank, and I'm just spitballing here, but maybe somebody like Frank, if he came in, he would find a way to try and play maybe both Richarlison if he was fit and Solanke, and then maybe we could get some crosses in when you're playing in these kind of games where you need to do something different.
Yeah, I agree, but I think Ange would do the same if Richarlison was fit, to try something different in a game like this.
There's no evidence of him trying something different, though, is there?
No, not really, but what's the alternative to Solanke at the moment? It's Will Angsher, and he's played like 1.5 games, so it's an injury crisis for me. That's the biggest issue, and you can't do anything about it. Is it Ange's fault? I have no idea.
No, nor do I. I'm speculating, but this is definitely the you know, this is the worst injury crisis in my time of supporting Spurs, and I've supported Spurs since 1987. So it feels like it's either incredibly unlucky, but bear in mind, to be incredibly unlucky 2 seasons in a row and lose both your centre halves, that's bordering on the kind of, you know, too coincidental. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, you're looking for a reason why it should happen, and the same thing as last year. It was Ange, and this year is the same with the 2 defenders. So maybe it's his training. I don't know, but the big stars of the club have to pull themselves together. It's Maddison has to do something more. When the mood is down, he doesn't seem to be able to pull himself up, and he's one of the leaders, and actually one of the only leaders on the field because they're so young, the rest of the team.
Yeah,
but
agreed. Mo, I have to leave it with you in a second, but first of all, find some positivity, or can we beat Wolves and or Newcastle?
We can beat any team if we have the energy. So I'm always hopeful before every game. So yes, of course we can.
Okay, Mo, thanks for being a part of the show today. Hopefully speak to you after another game soon. Thanks a lot, mate.
Thank you.
I'm going to go to one of our regulars in Brazil. G, thanks for being patient, G. Another slightly older fan like me. Are you struggling to find any positivity like I am at this point?
I'm always the most positive, actually. I thought the voice of reason was going to be maybe on my side coming on here, but I think Mo's just struck it there as well. The thing is, I think to remember each game that we're playing is just, you got to base it on each game. We can't look at the whole picture. There is no whole picture. We don't have the players. We simply don't have the players. But
is Ange basing it at all on each game? Surely he has to.
He has to. But what's he going to do? He's got the same tools as last week. You know, it's not changed. 3.5 days later, it's the same thing again. Do you know what I mean? What's he going to do? What can he do? He's got so many players out. Everyone's fatigued, and those players that aren't a little bit fatigued, say like Johnson wants to give it. But what is he going to do? Where's he going to pass it? Is he going to lob it into? He's not going to find Solanke. Do you know what I mean? He's not going to do it in this game. This game is done. This is Forest. This is why they're third. They're not going to win a league, never. But they are going to do what they do, and they do it to many, many clubs, not just us. And they're doing it to us. We're at a time when things haven't changed from last week or the week before, or the week before that, or the week before that. So all this Ange out, I get it. Yeah, it's a very, very quick reaction. It's an easy reaction to make, you know what I mean? But nobody's going to come in here. People talk about Thomas Frank. Do you know how long it took us to get Ange in here? Ange was the bottom of the afterthall. And before that, we spent months and months and months trying to find a manager. Even before that, was it when Conte came in and all these, you know, nobody wants to come with us. No, and who's going to want to come to a club like ours when they're not even going to give a manager and the team the players they need? It's unfortunate that with the injuries. It's terrible. But really, I'm gutted today. I really am. Sorry, mate, but I don't like losing. I hate losing, and I'm so stressed because I know there's no way out of this. And it's not the manager. If you're going to sack this manager and get another one in, I guarantee you and me and the rest of us, we're all going to be having the same conversation within another year, like we did last time, and the time before, and the time before that. Do you know what I mean? We don't give these guys enough time, and we don't give them the resources they deserve. And she's not
can I just play devil's advocate? Wouldn't we, if this was, you know, 2014, wouldn't we be saying that the same thing about Andre Villas-Boas though? And then we did get Pochettino, and Pochettino had a little something special that enabled him to not only deal with Daniel Levy, but also really get a young kind of team who we had the kind of building blocks, but none of those players were, you know, I would say, I've said this before, so I'll say it again. The fan base, about players such as Danny Rose and Kyle Walker, the fan base thought weren't good enough. But we got a man in who was able to make them get up to their potential. Is there not potentially a manager out there who we could get lucky with and do that again?
I think we've got him. We just got to give him the players and give him the fit players. If we had Van der Ven today, I'm sure we would have handled today. If Doggy's tired, he's only just come back now. You know what I mean? He's gone. They've all gone. Talking about Richarlison, he's gone. He's finished, man. This guy's gone. He's finished. You can forget about him. Yeah. We're not going to have it. We need the transfer windows. And the only transfer windows you're going to get this in are summer ones. You're not going to get them in the winter. And you're not going to get any managers want to come into a club that's like so in disrepair. And changing a manager every year or so. Do you know what I mean? They're onto our game now. All these managers are onto our game. They've seen us out. They've had Conte. We've had the Jose's, and we've had all that. And other managers have seen the way we've treated them. We had a hell of a job getting Ange into this club in the end. If you think about it, just think back. Did he come in? Was there a plan or something? Was it like, oh no, we're gonna get rid of Conte and we're gonna bring Ange in, and then we're gonna do all this and do that? No, it wasn't. It was like, get rid of Conte, stick with an interim, or get whoever we've got sitting around waiting. Yeah. At the moment, this club, we'd be lucky if we get the kit boy on as a sub at the moment, let alone a manager of one as well. Right. You know what I mean?
I understand. Gee, I'm sorry to cut into you, mate. But honestly, I'm supposed to have finished a minute ago. Right now, no, it's all good. But thanks for being a part of the show, mate. And I'll speak to you again soon. Top man.
Thank you, mate.
Oh, sorry, I cut off G really quickly, but I'm behind. I'm going to go to Laksh. And Laksh, I'm sorry you haven't got much time, mate. Only a minute or two. But let us know how you're feeling.
Yeah, that's all right. Thanks, Barnaby. Yeah, it's a bit of a frustrating time. I think, as people have mentioned, did okay in the first few minutes, and then the transition just caught us. And I know with a Nuno team, as soon as they go 1-0 up, it was game over for us, really. We could have been there all day and still wouldn't score, I don't think.
Laksh, is there any positivity to be found, as a lot of people in the comments are criticising Ange Postecoglou and think it's the end? What do you think?
Positivity-wise, no. I mean, I think Jed Spence probably a positive spark, I think. I'm glad as a manager that's actually trying to play him at least, and we can see what he's all about. I think he's done pretty well considering all the circumstances. Fortunately now he's suspended, so it doesn't help. But yeah, I think a few people mentioned the next two games are crucial, home games. If he doesn't pick up at least sort of 6 points there, I know the Newcastle game's a tough one, but I think I think the fans will be very disgruntled if they not already are. If we lose those two games.
And if he was to lose those games, do you think it would be Ryan Mason till the end of the season, or would
Ryan Mason part 3? I think probably. It seems. Well, I'm not sure. I think Graham Potter's still out there. I know he's not everyone's cup of tea, but trying to get sort of Thomas Frank, Marco Silva, the Bournemouth manager out at this mid-season, it's going to be very difficult. So they're going to go with an interim, and it's probably will be Ryan Mason, won't it?
Yeah, I'm afraid I agree with you. Laksh, so sorry. Make sure you do call in next time and I'll make sure to speak to you more. But people went a bit over and it's been a depressing night. But thanks again, mate. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Cheers.